about today? I didn't know that.
Yeah, is that cool?
That's cool.
Or, I mean, if you're not comfortable, we can just go and do something else.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, only if you guys really want to.
If you guys really, really super want to.
Okay.
All right, Steve, let's start with what you're working on. Well,
I'm working on a different map, and we haven't really explored that one.
yeah, well, you guys, there's more to show you guys soon.
Yeah.
I'll take you off the spot really, really quickly.
No, that's all right.
Anthony, how about you? What are you working on?
I'm working on this. What we're looking at right here, this is...
Not the live stream, the stuff.
Yeah, the live stream. No, I'm actually I've been working pretty closely with the expansion team on this particular map and all the content that goes in on here. So right here, what we're looking at, this is what remains of the pack fleet that we saw, spoiler alert, get destroyed in many, many videos. So, yep, there goes the helicopter. It's nasty. Basically, Mordremoth has come up from the ground, the roots of the jungle, ripped apart the fleet, ripped apart the land. There's vines everywhere. There's a whole bunch of crash ships. It's basically just a big, big field of wreckage.
Pack
Sounds like a
survivors
good
everywhere.
time.
Does sound like a good time. It sounds like a good time to kill some baddies, I guess. So right here, what we're looking at is this is an area where, as we mentioned, Larenthir of the Wild has crashed in the ship along with some Pale Reavers. This is what remains of their ship, the Lethal Vantage. And today we're going to be looking at an adventure that takes place inside the ship.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of stuff to look at today.
Yeah.
This feels kind of overwhelming. Okay, so let's start with just the general kind of overall jungle, because we've been talking about that a whole lot this week. Izzy was talking to IGN a little bit. You actually wrote a blog with Sean and Matt that I think came out yesterday.
Yep, that came out yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah.
And today we're going to look at a whole bunch of that stuff. Since we're hanging out here in relative safety, are you okay? I think you're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Let's just kind of start with an overall talk about how this area was designed, because there are some cool things just about how the map works. And I'll let you guys kind of run with that, because you made it and you're better at it than I am.
So, we've been working on maps, obviously for a while now in GW2 and sort of evolving what open world content looks like in the game. And so I think, with the expansion, we've reached a really high point in terms of, GW2 map design. And we've gone through, a couple of phases. Obviously the base game and then, South Sun Cove. Dry Top, Silver Waste, and so I think we're really just trying to pull in the best of everything. One thing that we found worked really well, in terms of Dry Top and Silver Waste was the map-wide objective. And so all of the expansion maps are going to have some amount of map-wide objective. And this one, the story is basically sort of centered around these, packed fleet survivors that are crashed here and just trying to survive. And so what that entails is, striking out during the day, capturing a bunch of land mass, capturing key objectives, and then basically getting ready for nighttime. And what happens at nighttime is just bad news. Mordremoth's going to come out again in force and just try to take everything back. And in numbers, yeah. And so a lot of what you'll be doing during the daytime is, capturing different areas, and sort of the more, progress you make during the day, the better chances of surviving at night you have.
I want to point out the scariness that this is the good version of what's happening here. I mean, this is the good stuff.
Yeah, this is actually the safe state of the map with the giant birds or reptiles flying around in the sky. So
I'm frightened.
Yeah,
As for map-wide objectives, I mean, it's something that we've seen work pretty well. And if you compare it to, say, like Queensdale, where, say, maybe about half the events were kind of themed with the theme of Queensdale, which is, humans versus centaurs. Our new maps, we're trying to focus, almost everything you do is based upon, the map-wide objective. In this case, surviving versus Mordremoth, gathering all the survivors, and then, which leads to Outposts.
Yeah, and it gives a good player solidarity. Everybody's working toward the same thing. You're all there. Yeah.
Yeah. So while everybody on the map is sort of focused towards this one goal, you're going to find different areas of the map are sort of represented by different kind of sub-factions or different kinds of characters. And so on this map, in particular, we're looking at a small area that's controlled by Larenthir. And that's sort of represented by what we're calling an outpost, which is basically sort of a reimagined meta event. event. And so what all that really means is that we have centralized locations in the expansion where you know there's going to be content. And then when you look on the map, you'll be able to see, hey, that outpost, there's a number of outposts on these map. This one is sort of unclaimed yet. This one is claimed but not fully completed. And so you'll know exactly where you need to go to find the content, which really sort of brings home the dynamic event system in terms of just getting people to go where they need to be.
Another thing that Outposts does is that it gives players a little bit more permanence to an agency to securing and unlocking areas of the map.
Yeah.
If you claim an outpost, you could control that area for well over an hour.
Yeah.
And compare that to Queensdale, where you clean up the garrison and the centaurs come back 10 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of nature of dynamic content in Guild Wars 2 is such that, there's always sort of a back and forth and ebb and flow of world state. I think what Outposts do is they sort of help you realize what those changes are. And so when you do something in the expansion like, hey, let's help Larenthier recontest this area, that's sort of driven home through the Outpost UI, and you can see those changes happen. And then as you become familiar with the Outpost and all the states that it can be in, you know exactly how to sort of pursue those objectives,
right.
When you come back and replay it. And then what we're trying to do is, give a lot of sort of variety within the outpost, and so things can break a different way,
right.
that kind of stuff.
I mean, all the outposts help the map-wide objective, similarly to how all the forts and silverways did. But outposts are kind of more contextualized in the area that they're in, so they can tell different stories, and the ways that you contribute to the map-wide objective can, vary, to something more serious to even lighthearted stuff too. But we're trying to have a greater theming and agency for the player to affect the world.
So it's not just cap it and walk away and forget about it. There's a lot more to do once.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then the other thing that we're really trying to drive home with Outposts is keep the character cast very important. So whereas I think you meet a lot of characters in the base game, in the open world who are they're kind of similar to each other, or they sort of represent the same type of character. And so what we've done is we've really focused in on telling smaller stories with smaller cast of characters, and those characters sort of persist throughout the story. And so what that translates to is essentially long event chains or webs where you see the same characters over and over again,
right.
And you learn them and their personalities.
And in addition to that, we're viewing maps kind of as a period in the story, so that a character that you see in one map, you may see again in a later map, and you can create a stronger relationship, with them.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about this area in particular that we're in. Where are we, and what's going on?
So right here, this is basically the first area in the expansion. You'll see one of the first areas you can see in the expansion, and this is what we're going to see in the demo. And so. This is basically, like I said, where Larenthier has crashed, and then they're basically just trying to survive. I keep saying basically, but
that's okay.
That's the essence of the content here, is that they're trying to strike out. They've got basically a small group of stragglers that are sort of here, and then they're just pushing out and trying to survive this tide of enemies that are sort of coming in. And so what you see here is things like off in the distance, we've got one of our new creatures here, which is called the Mordrum Breacher, I believe. And his name has changed a couple times. And, he's one of these guys that comes up out of the ground and spews enemies out. And so you have to defeat it to basically stop the spawns, right?
Yeah, those are super interesting. And I keep looking at them hoping that he will, go into the next, I don't know, are we calling them phases? When he starts spewing, hey, there he goes.
Yep, they're definitely out and about and active and doing stuff. And so if we hop up here a little bit, and I'll give you guys a small
let's take a look
sneak
at him.
peek. What's going on up here? So right now we've got
it's actually kind of
got
gross,
Larenthier
but
the Wild,
cool.
and
they're bigger than they look right now.
Yeah, he's got his little
very
group
far
of
away.
he's got his little group of
Pale Reavers.
Pale Reavers here, and he's recognized that the commander of the pack just showed up. He's ready to help. And so we're like, heck yeah, let's do this. And so these guys are going to be up here, and they're going to be sniping, basically. These are high-powered snipers up here, and so they're taking out stuff. And so one of the things you can do here is you have the opportunity to help them out and do some high-powered sniping shots of your own. So it's pretty neat. And then if you go down there and fight these breachers, these guys will be up here covering you. Other players will be up here covering you. So we're trying to focus a little bit on more cooperative objectives and just different ways to play the game.
Yeah, one thing that we didn't really touch upon is in Outposts, there's several levels that you can help advance them, and at each level you'll get different benefits. It could be a waypoint, services, could be unlocking new events, an adventure.
Yeah.
And then as you do these new things, you can advance it again and upgrade those. Have more NPC interactions.
Yeah, that's absolutely the concept behind Outposts, is that, we want to basically give you a place where you can look and see, what impact on the world am I actually having here. And so one of the things that occurs here is you'll unlock a waypoint after you progress a certain amount. You'll also unlock adventures, which will be the next thing we talk about. You'll unlock services, vendors, that kind of thing.
Sorry.
Maybe some resource farms. A lot of things we used to actually do in the base game, but we didn't really have a good way to message that to the player. And so sometimes that stuff can just get lost. Right. And so now we're sort of reinforcing it through this, stronger UI element and also just story structure.
Yeah. Right. All right, so I'm going to get past my disappointment that we didn't get to see him spit his green bile all over the place.
Him spit the green bile? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Right.
I can wait on the green bile. I feel like somehow I will go on. But you did mention adventures, and this is my favorite part, so I'm kind of eager to get to that. Let's go ahead and take a look, because earlier we had the giant gold shiny, and I started getting really, really excited to show this.
You should have saw how excited she was.
It wasn't that funny, but I did get a little high-pitched about playing through this. It was really, really fun. Oh, gosh, there I go again. So you were talking about adventures. We talked a little bit about it in the news post on Wednesday. I'll go ahead and let you run in that direction, and we can talk about how you access them, so you guys can get a little head start on how you get in there.
Sure. Yeah. So adventures are going to be found on the map. They have their own icon, which is kind of under my character here. They're sort of, they're analogous to other map objectives that we have, like POIs or vistas, except that this one, you go there and you have to do a thing. And so it's a little bit like a Renowned Heart. And I think this is sort of an evolution of the Renowned Heart. Given that the base game is full of Renowned Hearts that sort of help you level and tell you where to go, adventures are sort of the other side of that, where you've gotten to the end of the game and you're sort of mastering things. And now what we're going to do, instead of giving you sort of kind of a leveling objective, we're going to give you a challenge, right? And so all adventures are sort of meant to be challenging experiences, in the sense that they're actually going to require you to really sort of change the way you play or play well, and they're all going to be littered throughout the map. And so anything could be an adventure, really. We talked about, we have a ton of ideas for these. We are trying to bring back some of the activities that we talked about before launch, maybe a shooting gallery or something like that along the way. But we also have things like jumping puzzles and races, or,
Yeah, you can think of them as personal challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
And performance-based and repeatable.
Yeah, and the cool thing about adventures is that we're going to be trying to hook these up to leaderboards for your friends and your guild members, so you can try to one-up each other, and get really excited about that kind of stuff. And the other aspect of adventures that's really important is that it's going to be tied very closely to our mastery system. And so as you keep playing, you're going to get more abilities that will help you do these things even more efficiently and faster.
And you'll see that in a moment.
Well, let's see.
All right, so this adventure, just to give you a little context, this is the Lethal Vantage. It's crashed. It's kind of wrecked. There's still supplies in here. They still see this as a valuable asset for holding down at nighttime. And so it's being just overtaken by these vines. And so Tactician Smokeshot here believes that he's got a plan, which he's just going to burn all these vines out, with flamethrowers. And so when you interact with this adventure, he's going to kind of give you a brief overview of what he wants you to do, and then you can accept. And so once you accept, you get some new UI up here that's similar to events and tells you exactly what you need to be doing. And then you just kind of run around completing the objective, which in this case is to, flame out a bunch of vines. And so you're going to meet some resistance along the way. And this sort of works a little bit like a Renowned Heart. A lot of these objectives are going to be instanced, to you. So that there's no sniping each other out or stealing resources from each other.
It's kind of like the way the gathering nodes work.
Yeah, exactly, like gathering nodes.
Everybody gets their own.
And then we're going to try to get through here. And so this one in particular requires a certain number of vines to be torched to win. And then once you've torched that many, you can just keep also going to see how many you can get within the time limit here. And so, yeah, this is just kind of an introductory run-around romp.
So can you do the number 2 skill and kind of...
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing, so I'm...
So there are just vines. This ship is
All
absolutely littered with vines growing all over the place. And so there's a couple of skills on your bar here. One is just a sort of jet, sort of melt everything. And then this one is a targeted blast, so you can sort of get these high areas, scorch out these vines. And so getting a really high score at this adventure is going to involve 2 things. One, it's going to be being a little quick. And then the other thing is going to be knowing and learning where all these things actually come out at, so you can target them around. And then also avoiding these trolls, which are doing their best to get me gone here. So
I was playing with this last night. The trolls were not in there.
Oh, yeah.
First time you...
Yeah. Well, here at ArenaNet, we do a little bit of iteration, and
just a little.
Yeah, I may or may not have called you a few names, because the first time you showed this to me, there was nothing that wanted to hurt me.
Yeah, most adventures are going to have some amount of tension. Hopefully something that's outside of just the time limit.
Yeah, there was tension. I was very tense.
I am just barely going to get 50 here up, and we lost the game there. So.
Welcome to game development.
Yeah, welcome to game development.
Yeah, we are actually working on this expansion. Is the thing here.
Yep.
Okay, so
that was what I got for winning. It was
that was what you got. That's the worst. We should maybe work on the prize for winning, because that's the worst prize I have ever seen.
That lets me know that I need to make it harder. So when
no. Okay, but seriously, you guys, this is ridiculously fun. I was having so much fun the first time they had me play through this. It's available at pretty soon after you unlock this first. This is the first map in Heart of Thorns, and it's available pretty quick after you unlock the map, right?
Yep. So once we get Larenthir and his Pale Reavers to a state where the area is relatively safe, they can start working on this objective, and so that's when this thing is going to open up, and they're going to say, "Hey, good news! We staked a claim in this area. Now let's focus on the next thing, which is going to be this adventure here." And so. Another quick, cool thing to call out about adventures is that, because they're sort of meant to be a little challenging, we really wanted to focus in on making the challenge, as approachable as possible. And so if you fail this thing, or if you get to a state where you decided that you'd like to restart, all you have to do is hit this little X, and then basically the whole thing will just kind of end, and you'll get a second chance.
So it's not like, okay, you have to run all the way back to the marker.
Right, exactly. So let's say we had a jumping puzzle in which you were to, say, go collect, a bunch of objects, and you fell off, right? Rather than, killing you and then make you go back to a waypoint and then run back to the start of the jumping puzzle, you would just be able to, say, yeah, I'd like to restart, and then we'd put you back where you need to be, and you could start over.
I'm a really bad jumper, so I have, reflexive anger at the thought of falling off of a jumping puzzle. I'm just sitting over here going...
Adventures is, the repeatable nature. We're trying to make the maps really replayable in a variety of ways. Outposts, they can be unlocked in the map cycle for map-wide objective. Adventures. We want to create content that's very deep and dense, and so we've been focusing on fewer maps for this. But every map has a lot of content.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. So if you are really excited about playing through this one, this is part of the demo that is going to be available at PAX East. If you are going to PAX East, you can get your hands on this in just a few weeks.
Yeah. Go to PAX East, see if you can beat my top score, which is somewhere around 90. Yeah. I threw the gauntlet down.
You're just unbelievably smug right now. Because you know what I'm going to be doing tonight, right? Yes. That's why you did that.
The gauntlet has been
is March 6th through 8th. Yeah, you really, really did. No, you're not.
I'll give you points.
You're not even a little bit sorry.
Also, if you're like me and you've unlocked cool masteries,
that's right.
You can do a little better, but we won't talk about that today. So
actually, you know what? We should talk about masteries for just a second. You guys probably want to hear about masteries, but we are kind of running out of time, and we need to wrap it up. Okay. And I'm mad at you too. So. But I know you guys are really, really excited about Heart of Thorns. So here's what we're going to do: is have a bonus episode of Points of Interest next Wednesday, February 11th.
Wow.
Not with you. I'm not mad at you. I'm really, really excited that you came today. And I'm really excited that you showed me this adventure because it's so much fun. But we are going to bring our expansion systems designer, Dave Webb, and our expansion content designer, Nellie Hughes, on next Wednesday for an extra episode of POI. It starts next Wednesday, the same time as it always starts, noon Pacific time. We're going to talk about masteries, and we're going to show off some more gameplay, maybe some gliding and some mushroom jumping. So you guys need to tune in for that one, too, for some more gameplay. For right now, we have another video courtesy of Aurora Peachy. She had a ton of footage from PAX South and put together a little outtake video for us. So thank you guys both for coming on.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And
Well,
thank
keep playing
you.
this adventure.